Welcome back to the Behind the Well show. I'm your host, Roger Abel. Eli, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good. I'm getting
Thanks for having me on the show again.
It's episode 137. I don't know. It's a lot of episodes. I am going to ditch you for a show coming up here one of these days.
Good.
I want to apologize, but we're going to have Casey on, and we're actually going to do a little series on estate planning. You know, a lot of people don't know he has his law degree, works in our office. So I think it's going to be valuable to have him come on and provide some of the details that people, you know, want to learn about. And I mean, it's really good advantage for our clients who work here because we've got a great resource to make sure, you know, the estate planning documents are done correctly. Anytime we have questions, we have someone right on site to help us.
Yeah, it's that's really nice, and I'm sure my fans will miss me, but if they're good episodes and there's valuable information, they'll be okay. I'll be back.
Oh yeah, you'll be
it's
back.
not a
for
big
sure.
deal.
You'll be back at least before the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
So that's one of the things. I mean, we're getting close. End of the year. I just talked to Molly. I'm like, we got to do a Black Friday episode. We do that every year. We're getting close to the end of the year. I can't believe 2023 is almost in the books. I mean, I can't believe it's already here.
Yeah, and it's going to be, you know, the end of the year, it gets here real quick, and then we have, well, for us, you're a big hunter, so you have hunting, and then holidays, and then I go first season deer, so it's like it kind of sneaks up on you the end of the year, and then it's like, boom, all of a sudden the year's over, and we're into 2024.
I feel like
it'll be here before we know it.
I feel like the year just started, and now it's over.
Yeah, it gets that way.
Well, I think I had this discussion with somebody else that I know well, and the older you get, the faster the years go. Do you remember when you were in high school and you just could not wait for school to get over to have summer break come, and summer seemed like it lasted forever.
Yeah,
and then college seemed like it lasted forever, and now it's like, oh man, 7 years. You know, I built a house in 2017. I'm gonna be in the house 7 years. I can't believe it.
Right, and I'm getting to the point where I've almost been out of high school, and that, like the time I spent there, I'm almost to the point where I've spent just as much time in life outside, right? When I turned 36 or 37, which is kind of shocking because, yeah, it went by. When you're young, you can't wait. Oh, I want to be grown up. I want to live on my own and do all this. And then you become an adult, and like for me, like right now, so now we're in the first week of November. Football season started in August, and it feels like it started yesterday, but it's been, you know, at this point 10, 11 weeks. So
I always feel like football season goes fast. I feel like it takes forever to get here, but then once it starts, I mean, NFL's going on week 6 this week.
Yeah, but
Hawkeyes
good thing
are
with
5-1.
But with NFL, they have it's awesome because they have 18-week season and then the playoffs. We're still going to have football into February.
So, hey, we're Hawkeye fans. Well, I don't know. I think you're a Hawkeye fan.
I really don't. Yes, that's who I
You
grew
don't
up
watch
cheering
their
for,
games.
but I don't really care. I do watch their games.
So, 5-1. Do you know where the offense is ranked this year?
135.
129 out of 129. Dead last.
Yeah.
Can't get worse.
It's
Think about that. You're
atrocious.
5-1 in the Big Ten with the worst offense. It's unbelievable.
Well,
I mean, it's
lucky
something to be
that
said
they have
about
they have a really strong defense and they're strong at the other two parts, the defense and the special
They're
teams.
really lucky they have Cooper DeJean because he's a rock star.
I know. He's very good, but I'm not on the he's the best player ever at Iowa bandwagon.
Oh, I don't think that either. I think there's been other players who are actually better. He's just put himself in a position to win.
Yeah, but I think it was maybe the Washed Up Walk-Ons podcast was advertising one of the topics they were going to do is Cooper DeJean the best player of the Kirk Ferentz era?
That's clickbait.
Oh, for sure it's clickbait. I mean, so he's better than Chad Greenway? He's better than Bob Sanders?
Dude, Bob Sanders, he's the real deal. He wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think he's better than Bob. You know what the difference is? Did Bob Sanders play special teams?
No.
So once again, he's getting more opportunities.
Dude, the guy returned one punt for a touchdown. And then all of a sudden, he's the greatest player ever. And it was for a talent. He is a talented punt returner, but that was a terrible punt. It was super low.
Well, we'll see what his NFL career is.
Yeah,
because right now,
we'll see.
George Kittle's looking pretty solid.
Right. Oh, he's better
if
than
Kittle's listening.
He's
What's up, bro?
right, better than
really
George
good.
Kittle, better than Dallas Clark, better than Robert Gallery. There's been a lot of good players that played for Coach.
Did you say Tim Dwight?
But Tim Dwight did not play for Coach Ferentz.
Yeah, okay.
So
You're
that
talking
actually
just
that,
Ferentz. Okay.
That was my first reaction to
Yeah,
that was,
okay.
dude, there's no way he's better than Tim Dwight but Tim Dwight did not play. He played for Hayden Fry.
I remember watching Tim Dwight in high school, so I was a freshman. He was a senior.
He was probably an unbelievable high school football player.
I just got goosebumps, Eli. People just bounced off him. They couldn't tackle him. And the other thing is, I want to say when they were on defense, they would give like one guy a third of the field and he'd take the other 2/3 and you couldn't pass on him. So they're able to stack the box on defense. So you couldn't run. You couldn't pass. He was just complete freak of nature. I just remember watching him run and it was like a bowling ball going down like a Ferrari, but a bowling ball at the same time because he was so fast. People just kind of bounced right off of him. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've heard that. I wish I could have seen him play as a high schooler.
Well, with that said, let's get the show started. And one of the things we want to talk about is, what are some of the things we should think about as we get close to the end of the year? I'm sure we'll do a tax show and do some of that other stuff. But, I was reading an article the other day, and it was focusing on what retirees that are happy do really well. And I think there's some really good points here because just being able to retire and be financially secure doesn't mean you're actually going to be happy in retirement. It can actually lead to some level of depression. I was watching a podcast this morning of another advisor that I follow some of his content. And he's talking about, we talk about the go-go phase, the slow-go phase, and the no-go phase. But he actually broke this down even further into that first go-go phase and what it really looks like. And he's like, the first, month is like this euphoric, so excited I don't have to go do anything. The next 2 to 4 months is like all the travel and all the other fun stuff we're going to go do. And then month 5, 6, people start to get this sense of, is this it? Is this all it is, right? Not a bad thing, but they're like, okay, well, I can only do so much of this because I probably have financial constraints. But number 2, is there anything more fulfilling in retirement? So I thought
Good question.
I mean, I really hadn't thought about it that way. We just think about all the good things that phase goes on. But one of the points he had was, he goes, there's actually a high rate of depression 5, 6, 7 months into retirement because they've felt their loss of meaning. They had a job they showed up to, whether they liked the job or not. It gave them purpose and meaning in life.
Yeah, it does. So I guess it probably starts to make an argument for staying active, maybe doing more than just leisure activities. But you don't necessarily have to work. I mean, you could volunteer your time, stay active in your church, be involved in the community, but you probably do have to implement some other activities outside of all the leisure things you want to get caught up on, right?
So,
have some projects for yourself, some stuff to just keep a challenge ahead of you, give you something to look forward to, something that keeps you stimulated, all that kind of stuff.
So it's just ironic that I watched that video and then we were going to talk about this. So let me just talk about the 5 things that people who are deemed to be happy in retirement have done. And number 1, they have a plan and they actually work the plan. So if you think about how they got to retirement, most people had some type of a plan to get there. But just because you retire doesn't mean the planning's over. So the people who are really happy actually have a well thought out plan for retirement, not just financial. Hey, I'm going to volunteer at this place. I'm going to spend 3 months in Florida. I'm going to go see my kids 4 times a year. And they work the plan. And it makes them really, really happy. And when you get used to working a plan when you're younger, if you say, hey, we're going to do our systematic savings to retirement, and we're giving X amount to the church, and we're working that plan as we're younger, we start to learn those habits, and they can carry through retirement. So that's the first thing that they found in this study that makes people happier in retirement is having a plan, but then working and executing it, not just winging it, which a lot of people, I would guess most people in retirement on the non-financial side are just winging it. Like, hey, I'll just figure out what I'm going to do today. And,
I'm sure plenty of people
if you go talk to a lot of retirees, they'll go tell you, man, I don't know how I got all this stuff done before I retired. Well, it's because now they have all the time in the world, so they can take all the time in the world to get the things done. When they were working, you had to go to the grocery store on Saturday morning and get it done in an hour because you had to take your kid to basketball practice, and there was all this structure. Once the structure's gone, you can just let time completely slip away from your life.
Yeah, and I hope there's a balance there, right? Like, it's probably nice to not have all the time constraints, but you probably do have to be more mindful of making good use of the time, right? You do have all day, but you probably got to make an effort to just to keep working on things or whatever you want to do. Putz around your house, go do the yard work, fix something, do a project. I mean, there's more time to do it, but you still got to stay committed to it.
The second thing that they found is that those who check in on their money are happier. And when I say check in their money, it doesn't mean they're micromanaging it. That won't make you happy. But they have an idea of what's coming in, what's going out, why they own certain investments, and how they accomplish their long-term goals. And truth be told, it's all set forth by doing a financial plan. Right? If you think about the retirees we work with, they have X amount of reviews per year dependent upon their individual circumstances. We kind of let the client guide that. But at the same time, I can go see how many people are checking their accounts daily, who checks them monthly. It gives you a little report saying who logged in and how often. I don't ever check it, but, I could if I wanted to, which doesn't matter to me. But just keeping an eyeball on what's going on will make people happier because they know why things are working the way that they do. So that was number 2. Number 3 was stay healthy and active. I think this is very important. One of the places that I hunt, one of the gentlemen, he's 81 years old, and he's in good health. And I started thinking about it. I said, if I go look at all the people I know over age 80, he's probably, from a health standpoint, one of the healthier ones. Well, guess why?
Does he work out?
He's on the farm every day. He's driving tractors. He's doing cattle. Like he's
physically active.
He's physically active every single day. I'm sure he goes to the small town and has the coffee at Casey's, and he has friends. He goes hunting.
Stop at the co-op too and have a cup of coffee.
He goes antelope hunting.
Does he?
He's going to Alaska to go fishing, and I'm like, man, because I told him, I'm like, you're in really good shape for an 81-year-old, like. Because I think of a lot of the 81-year-old clients I have, they couldn't go hunting antelope and do a deer drive and go fishing in Alaska for 10 days. They physically couldn't do it.
And how old is
81?
So you probably won't believe this, but on the high school officiating crew I'm on, so Friday night varsity games, one of our members is 78 years old. But similar, you would never know he's that old. He's in good shape. Mentally, he's super sharp. And he's still out there every Friday night working a football game. It's pretty amazing.
Well, because how long has he been doing it, Elias?
So he's been officiating football for like 45 years.
That's why. If you think about it, it all adds up. So I got the gentleman who owns the farm. He's working on the farm. That's strenuous labor. Your 77-year-old who's on the officiating team, guess what? He can't just show up and not work out the whole year and make a go of it during football season.
No, he's got to be physically active.
The other thing is if you have an active routine, potentially can offset some of the medical expenses you're going to have. It's estimated that Americans will spend $315,000 in medical expenses. Let's just be honest. Many of those medical expenses, if you look at what happens to people as they age, knee replacements, hip replacements, joints start to go bad. A lot of that's due to not being active and not having a healthy diet and lifestyle. So number 3 for retirees who are happy was staying healthy and active. Number 4, I think is really cool, but it's called learning new tricks.
Can you teach an old dog a new trick?
I think
That's
you
what
can.
I'm wondering.
So here's what's interesting. Last night, my wife's like, do you want to take pickleball lessons? Like, she wants to play pickleball. I said, yeah, I do. But then it got me thinking about this article. I'm like, you know what? We're going to learn something new. Last time I played pickleball was 18 years, no.
High school.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
27 years ago. Man, I'm getting old. 27 years ago when I was in high school.
Where are you going to go play?
I don't know yet, but I know they're opening that new place downtown. I'm not sure. Don't they have the Smithfield too? Probably go out there.
That's where I go.
Yeah. So, but hey, look at getting a new hobby, or, maybe it's maybe it's like a chess league or something else, just something to try to learn something new and stimulate your mind and stay active. And then the 5th thing that retirees said provided them with a happy, enjoyable retirement is you should keep up with your social network. I actually think a lot of retirees are good at this. Like, they have their friend group, their car group, or their group they go to coffee with, or, they go to Florida with. And I think actually when you retire, it might be easier to do this because you're not overwhelmed with all the day-to-day. I have to go to work. I have to come home and cook dinner, and the day's over. When you're retired, you have more time to do this. But keeping up with your social network becomes really important.
It does. And keeping up with social network also sometimes involves gifts, and we're also coming up on the holiday season, which for especially retirees, but just everyone in general, the scams are also going to increase. And actually, I didn't know this, but scams, phishing, I'm talking phishing scams on the internet, increased by more than 150% from October to November. And some of the reasons why that happens is, one, the shopping ramps up, whether it's in the stores to buy gift cards, shopping online, ordering from Amazon. But in conjunction with all of the shopping and the online orders, what ends up happening is, at least online, there's phishing scams where you will get an email and it looks like it's from FedEx or UPS. Hey, click here to track your package. If it looks fishy, don't click on it. And really probably the best way to track your package is take the tracking number and just go onto their website and look for yourself. Don't click an unsolicited email, because now they're going to start stealing your information, and now you're caught up in some other kind of scam. And it's really unfortunate. And we know this, working with so many retired folks, like, it's just it's all year. It's scams galore. The phone calls, the emails they get. It's whether it's the lottery from a third world country, or now all of a sudden a long lost cousin reached out and needs money. It's one thing after another, but you really need to be careful during the holiday seasons with the email, and then also through the regular post office, snail mail too, or even just packages being dropped off at the house. Like, if you're not going to be home, maybe have your mail held at the post office. If you're ordering a lot of packages, try to be there when it gets delivered. So nowadays, not only do we have the phishing scams on the email, but have people that, they'll rob your packages right off your porch.
Here's another one I want to bring to light that a lot of people don't think about. If you're selling anything on Facebook, don't ever give your phone number out.
Don't give your phone number?
No, never.
Just communicate on Facebook, and then have them meet you somewhere.
Here's what they want. All the scammers, the first thing they say is, hey, can I call you? I need your contact number. And what they want to do is get your number so they can take over your Facebook account, because now they have the 2-factor authentication. They get the text, they'll take over your phone number, then they'll get the text message to your phone number. They have it. Now they can take your account. So don't ever give your phone number out through Facebook. I had one the other day that said, hey, I need your phone number. Where can we meet? I said, great. We can meet at the Marion Police Department. And that you don't need my phone number. We can meet at the Marion Police Department, because that's actually a safe place. If you're going to do a Facebook transaction, you just go right to their parking lot and do it. No one's scamming you there.
You would think of that, but that's a great idea. That is the best place to
I actually
meet.
think it's guidance that's been put out. Like,
Is it really?
If you're going to do a public meetup, why not go there? And like, here's what's crazy. Instantly, the profile was deleted. As soon as I said, hey,
imagine that.
Instantly deleted. But if somebody asks for your phone number and you're trying to sell something on Facebook, more likely than not, it is a scam. They do not need your phone number
to buy something
on Facebook, because you're going to meet at a public place. That's where I'd recommend going. Just, hey, right, your public police department. Most of them have like meetup places for this, and the reason is to protect people.
Yeah,
if you go to someone's house, you don't know what you're getting into.
No, don't do that.
So I didn't mean to hijack this.
No, you're good.
I was selling some on Facebook, and the first 5 things are like, hey, I want to buy this. What's your phone number? I'm like, yeah, no, you don't need my phone number.
We're not doing that.
Never heard anything again from them.
Yeah, and that actually, so when you're on Facebook, the other thing that's going to ramp up with the phishing will be just fake advertisements, essentially, because they're going to start having, every company is going to be doing extra marketing. Well, you're also going to see things that are offered to click on, so then you can start looking at some deal. So to protect your personal information, you really don't want to click on something and then share your credit card, share your social security number. You just need to be very diligent as you're going through the holiday. Yeah, you got to.
Don't take PayPal. I don't do it.
Yeah, you got to use some sort of official service. And the other scam that we're going to start seeing is charity scams. So people are going to try and do an advertisement that looks like you're giving money to a good cause. You're really just giving money to a scammer. So I think anytime you do want to donate some money, just be diligent in checking on what that charity is, what they do, and just don't go through the social media link. If you want to give money to some outfit, go onto their website or call their 800 number and just give it to them directly. Don't use links that are advertised.
I have a rule
through the social media platforms.
I don't click a link anywhere.
That's a good rule. I'm
going to give you another example. Your cell phone, you're going to get stuff. Oh, your FedEx package is delayed. Click here. That's a scam.
Don't click.
Don't ever click a link. Your email, your cell phone, social media, you don't need to click a link. Just go direct to the carrier. Elias, I think those are good tips how to protect yourself from getting scammed going into the holiday season. One thing about November is Long-Term Care Awareness Month, and I think it's important to understand, that this is a rising, it's been an issue for a long time, but it's getting worse. I did a class called Passports to Retirement. I was teaching it for a hospital foundation, and they updated the materials from 2022 to 2023. And I remember when I started teaching this class back in like 2010, they said, if you're a married couple, 65, and you're both healthy still, you have a 40% chance of one of you needing care. That was 2010.
Both healthy at 65, yep. 40%. Okay.
40% chance that one of you is going to need some type of skilled care. Today, it was 70%.
That's gone up to 70?
70%. When I did it, I was shocked. I'm like, I did a double take on the material. I'm like, is that right? In skilled care,
so
could be in home health care.
One person will need some
one person is going to need some type of care. And then I started, you know me, I'm always trying to figure out why. Why would it be? Well, here's why. Modern medicine's come a long way in 14 years, and we're able to keep people alive a lot longer. But what we haven't been able to do is make the body parts better, make people's minds better. We haven't had breakthroughs in how to increase people's memory and some of those things. So if we keep people alive longer, but the memory still fades as we get older, and the body doesn't get healthier, what happens? We need more help transferring, bathing, eating, all those different things that go with aging. And that's why. Think about this. This is how far medicine's gone. Aaron Rodgers tore his ACL, right? Mm-hmm. That used to be minimum 12 months, if not career ending. They believe he might be back in 4 months. Cam Akers was the fastest to ever recover from an ACL injury. Preseason, was back by the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers just did experimental surgery. They think he'd be back by the playoffs.
That would be crazy.
4 months.
That'd be crazy.
But think about where we've gone. Think about Tommy John surgery for baseball. In 1995 is not that long ago, 25 years. If you had to get Tommy John, your career was arguably over. Now, they want to get Tommy John surgery.
Then they can throw.
Because we're going to get 3 or 4 miles an hour extra on the ball.
Yeah.
So we're doing the same thing with keeping people alive. We just haven't figured out how to improve the memory. So it's going to lead to a higher percentage of people needing some type of care. The statistic doesn't actually say how long, just that 70% of the people will need skilled care at some time. Maybe it's for 60 days. Doesn't mean it's for 6 years. But I think it's good to talk about, how to deal with long-term care. And we've really had the same 4 ways to deal with long-term care since the day I started doing this. And one is you can ignore the problem. And that's what a vast majority of people do. No one wants to think about getting to the point where you're going to have somebody help you do everything. Nobody wants to think about that. So it's just,
no one wants to think about it. No one wants to pay for it.
No. The second way you can do it is you can go on government assistance, which is basically spending down all your assets to qualify to have the state pay for your long-term care needs. And for a large percentage of the population, that's probably the best way to deal with it. Because you have to have a certain amount of means to make it make sense to, figure out how you're going to take care of long-term care.
Yeah, a lot of times it's the most realistic option for people.
Even if you have money, sometimes it's still the most real. And how much you have is arbitrary. But even if you have money, sometimes it's the most realistic. The third option is you're self-insured, which means you got to take all of your guaranteed income sources. So that's pension, Social Security, plus whatever you can earn safely on your investment assets, add those up. If it's enough monthly income to pay for the long-term care bill, you're arguably self-insured. And fourth, if you don't have enough monthly income to pay for a long-term care bill, you supplement it with some type of insurance policy. And those are really the ways you deal with it. The one thing about long-term care is we've seen this massive divergence in what's offered from companies. I had a client who had a long-term care policy. I didn't write it, but he just said, hey, give me your opinion on it. He's had it for 14 years. And the premiums went from $3,000 a year to $6,000. And this person, they can afford it. Like, no problem affording it. It's a 10-year plan, inflation rider. And I told him, I'm like, you should probably keep this. I said, I'm not sure you could go buy a policy on the open market that's as good as this policy. I know my father-in-law was doing long-term care back in the 90s, unlimited benefits. So
you can't
pay
get
for
that
15 years.
anymore.
That doesn't exist anymore.
No.
And we've seen this divergence away from the traditional long-term care policy to a hybrid that's a combination of life and long-term care or long-term care and annuity, just so insurance companies can better manage their risk. If anybody's looking for help with long-term care, feel free to reach out to us at btwellshow.com. We can get you pointed in the right direction. But it's something you should be aware of, and especially due to the fact that basically if you're married and you're 65, one of you is going to need some type of skilled care.
Yeah, at some point. Could be minimal. It could be a bigger deal, like you said. So there are, coming into the end of the year, another thing, especially for retired folks, is Social Security changes that happen. There's some stuff that happens every year, so I'm going to kind of touch on those first. But everyone is going to end up getting their cost of living adjustment. So the cost of living adjustment for Social Security, what that does is it helps people increase their Social Security kind of with inflation. And this year's estimate from the Senior Citizens League is 3.2% is going to be the raise that everyone's Social Security will get next year. So not a lot, but every little bit helps, right?
Got a massive raise the year before.
Well, right, but we also had massive inflation. So,
but don't you think inflation's still higher than 3.2?
I thought this was kind of low compared to what inflation expectations are.
Although I will tell you, I went to the grocery store the other day. Guess what I paid for a dozen eggs?
What?
Yes. They were $5, remember?
They were $3.25.
$1.19. $1.19
for eggs.
Yeah, I've been buying eggs again.
How did they go down so much?
Maybe they shouldn't have gone up that much in the beginning. Do you remember when I talked about how my wife had me buying $5 eggs before $5 eggs were a thing? Because we had to have the brown, organic, range-free eggs. They were $4.99 for a dozen eggs, and you're buying the eggs, the white ones at Hy-Vee for 49 cents. I was buying $5 eggs. Well, those 49-cent eggs went up to $4 and $5, right? So let's call that a 8x increase. My $5 eggs should have went to $40. How did that not happen?
What'd they go to?
Like maybe $7.
7. Yeah, so that doesn't make sense.
But the cheap eggs went from, like even if it was $1 a dozen, they went from $1 a dozen to $5. My eggs still should have been $25 or $30.
Yeah. So we pay $3 a dozen to a local farmer. And they didn't raise the prices with inflation. They just kept them at $3 a dozen.
Well,
so that was nice.
Here's the thing, though. You're getting a higher quality egg.
Oh, for sure.
You know where it's from. It hasn't been there's just some advantages of that. So that's worth the premium.
I'm fine. Yeah, and they're so good. I'm fine paying.
Does Dan still bring eggs in here?
Yeah, that's where I get them.
Oh, you still get them from Dan?
Yep. So anyway,
that.
Yeah, so back on to Social Security. That was our promo for Farm Fresh eggs. A couple other changes, and actually you're going to have to work a little bit more to get and make a little bit more money to qualify for the full credits for Social Security. I'm guessing this is an inflation adjustment. I guess I'm not sure if this is something they increase all the time, but kind of the gist of it, you can earn 4 credits in a year towards your Social Security. To get your maximum benefit based on your income, you basically have to have 10 years. Well, you have to have 40 total credits. So the minimum you could do is 10 years, 4 credits a year. Or it could be 40 credits over 40 years in different situations. But the minimum you need to make now for the year is $1,640, which is an increase. It's up like $130 from $1,510 in 2022. And then that will increase again in 2024. More people are going to owe Social Security tax on more income. So there's also, before your full retirement age, it's a little complicated, but if you make too much money, then they start to discount your Social Security benefit. So they're also taking a look at that. So I think they're lowering that threshold. So basically what that means is if you work, let me back up. If you file for Social Security before full retirement age, and then you go out and work, the money that you can make now is less before they start discounting the Social Security benefit.
But you don't lose that benefit. That benefit gets added back and accrued when you hit full retirement age, so it bumps up how much you're getting paid.
Yes, there's more to it than that. But I think, to me, my take on this was they're trying to incentivize maybe more people delaying it and taking a higher benefit. I'm sure there's reasons for that. It's probably going to help Social Security with the solvency, right? Like if people aren't taking the benefit and they're adding it back at the end, if they're just working and still paying into the credits.
Yeah.
I'm sure that all has stuff, because here's one thing. Social Security is not going away, but there are changes that are always going to be made to keep it solvent. And then they're going to increase the maximum Social Security benefit at full retirement age. So again, I think that also lends to that argument of they're wanting more people to wait until full retirement age and take a higher benefit. I'm guessing that some of the incentive for the government to do that would be you're working longer, paying in more. And then, as you mentioned, they don't have to figure out, we discounted it because you were working, we add that back in over here. They're really just trying to get ahead of some of the solvency issues, and I don't think I don't believe that Social Security is going away. It's always going to be around. There might be a different variation of it, but it's just something to be aware of, that there's always going to be changes. And I think it's easy for people to hear, oh, they're changing Social Security, they're trying to take more from me. typically the changes with Social Security are at least incentivized a little bit to help people who are retiring. I know, we got it. 2024, we're going to have an election. There might be some scary talk about Social Security and what's going to happen. All that's a bunch of phooey. It's going to be around. It's going to be available. But I think just listeners just need to understand there's always going to be changes and things that will happen with Social Security.
Well, with that said, I want to tell everybody, hope you're looking forward to a good 2024. We're a couple months away, but it's time to start preparing and getting ready for next year. If anybody has any questions on Social Security, long-term care, feel free to reach out at btwellshow.com. You can follow us on social at Facebook, YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for listening.